please. It is 7 o'clock, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We are missing Mr. Tommy Atkins this evening, who's a representative from Jackson District. If everyone could please rise at this time for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That takes us to the first item on the agenda this evening, the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion in regards to this?
I so move.
Second.
Thank you both. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That takes us to the minutes from the 3 community outreach meetings and the June 18th board or committee meeting minutes. I did receive a note today asking for the change. I referred it to Ms. Lee for the July 14th meeting in Sperryville regarding affordable housing being not just a local problem but also a national problem. Those adjectives were sort of flipped in that in those minutes. So other than that, everything seemed to be in good order. Does anyone have any other changes or a motion? Well, for the sake of cleanliness, I'll suggest that make a motion that we adopt these minutes with that small change.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Ritter. Any other comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I will abstain since I wasn't here.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Light. That takes us to the first special exception public hearing for the evening. Special exception 25-0402, the Goodwin application for the ADU. We are missing Ms. Summers tonight. I didn't mention that at the beginning of the evening, and we hope she's having a great week. And look to Mr. Curry to tee us off.
Swing that this way. The Goodwins have requested a special exception, have applied for a special exception for an accessory dwelling unit on their property located at 1859 North Post Road. This use is allowed pursuant to Rappahannock County Code Section 17036A and with special requirements of 17062G. The property is 248 acres in area and is zoned agriculture. Their proposed ADU would meet the 1,200 square foot requirement, I believe coming in at 1,200 square feet, and be located within 200 feet of the main dwelling. I think they do propose to use the ADU for family, although that's not a requirement and not something that would be a restriction. It will be a single floor building, which would allow them longevity at that location as well. The health department has reviewed the situation, and they will have to seek a permit for septic for that building. And so, as with any building permit, they'll have to get that straightened out before they can get a building permit. VDOT reviewed it, and they don't consider there to be any issues with the current entrance, and no comments or objections to the request. VDH did state that they do have a current Class 3B well constructed in 2021 with a flow rate of 12 GPM, which is pretty good. So that should be adequate for both structures should they get approval. The applicants are here, and I don't know if they want to address the topic.
Is there anything you would like to add at this time?
Maybe just a couple thoughts. I'm Michael Goodwin. My wife Priscilla Goodwin is also here. We bought our place in 2018, have lived there full time since 2020. The principal thing we're trying to accomplish is we have 3 kids and 3 grandkids as of a couple days ago. And we're trying to create enough space just in our home and in this guest house so we can house everybody. And then, as Mr. Curry said, we also have in the back of our minds our current house. It's an older house. The steps are very steep. I mean, they're a little challenging even today when we're healthy and just looking down the road. this ADU would provide kind of one-level living if we need to do that. We tried to design it in a way, it's set back about a quarter of a mile from the road, right next to our house. And we tried to design it in a way that from the road, it'll kind of, to the extent you can see it from the road, it'll look like an agricultural outbuilding, like a small barn. So we've tried to give it a traditional look. But happy to answer any questions.
That sounds good. We'll do the public hearing, and then there may be some questions for you after that.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. All right, and with that, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on the Goodwin accessory dwelling unit. Anyone that would like to speak on this special exception application, this is your time to do so during this meeting. Please come to the microphone and address yourself by name and the district in which you reside. Ms. Hunt.
Karen Hunt, Jackson District. I don't have prepared remarks. Mr. Curry noted that it does say in the staff report, it mentions the 1,200 square feet, which is in our ordinance. Maybe I missed it. I didn't see that referenced anywhere in the application. I didn't see a floor plan that kind of designated. I saw the outside architectural renderings, and I'm sure that when the ADU is approved and they go through the process that 1,200 square foot would be met. But just a suggestion, it would be helpful for the public if there was a site plan or something that kind of delineated that within the application itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right, if there's no one else that wishes to speak on this special exception, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and turn to my fellow commissioners. I believe this is in the Wakefield district, Mr. Shulin, if you care to go first or punt.
I visited the property like the day after Michelle sent out their application. That came out early. I really liked that. That was a month ago. I almost forgot what you looked like. Maybe it was a while ago. I thought it was interesting that the closest property line from this ADU would have to pass through their current residence to the nearest property line. I mean, so it could be any further away from any adjacent property owner than it currently is. I have no issues with this request whatsoever.
Anyone else?
Seems large enough, plenty of land, so.
Does seem like it checks the boxes.
Just have one little. Well, I was just going to say, I think the question about where is the 1,200 feet kind of nailed down is a valid question. I don't see measurements either. I guess we can stipulate that as a condition. It's obviously a requirement, but what is your?
Yeah, so similar to the ADU, I think you heard last month, maybe 2 months ago, those folks still haven't got their building permit because they haven't quite nailed down the floor plan showing that there wasn't access from the storage area into the main area. So they won't get a building permit or a zoning permit until they provide plans that are at or less than 1,200 square feet. So it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the permit, it's part of your ordinance.
But
you could put it in there
as a condition.
Sure.
Yeah, that's my only, I think it's a absolutely great site, use, design, everything. Thank you.
Sounds good.
I just have a question of curiosity. I know a lot of the properties down in that area are in scenic easement. Is yours in easement too?
I'm sorry.
A lot of the properties that down there in your area are in scenic easement. I was just wondering if your acreage is in easement down there.
Most of the properties on our road are under easement, were under easement, and it does permit basically a guest house.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
That's it. Fully supported.
Did you want to make the motion, Mr. Shulin?
I would like to make a motion that we advance this to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval.
Very good. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Sisk. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. That takes us on, y'all are welcome to stay as long as you like. You are welcome to go also. You don't have to stay. Thank you. We'll see you at the Board of Supervisors.
Like a theater.
That takes us on to the next bit of business for the evening. Special exception 25-05-01, Three Bears LLC owner and Apollonia Sierra applicant lease for a spa. And we will look once again to Mr. Curry to help us out with that.
I think the body is generally aware of this application because you heard about it at your last meeting, maybe? It's preliminary about it, did you? Maybe you didn't, sorry.
I don't think so.
Apollonia, hopefully that's Apollonia, thank you. Sierra has applied for a special exception to operate a spa. Spa is the zoning use that best fits her intended use. This is permitted pursuant to the Rappahannock County Code Section 17036E with special requirements of 17066O. The property is located at 11961 Lee Highway. It's 0.4 acres in size and it's zoned highway commercial. You may better know this as the small building adjacent to the Spragueville Schoolhouse. The use will provide acupuncture and massage services, offering therapeutic treatments to promote relaxation, pain relief, etc. Sessions are by appointment, each for an hour. The applicant is here. The site is in a commercial area, but spas are allowed in this area only by special exception, and therefore you must hold a public hearing before you consider making a recommendation. If there are any other questions, I can dig further into the application.
I think that'll get us rolling.
Could I ask one clarifying?
Oh, sure thing.
Am I hallucinating? Isn't this where we also approved a brewery?
Next door.
Next door. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. I'm terribly sorry. This is actually in Mr. Chapman's. I'm surprised nobody hollered. This is actually Mr. Chapman's building where Veddit's was originally considered.
Right.
I'm terribly sorry.
That's all right.
That's why I was confused that you'd already heard it.
Yeah.
It does have, has been improved recently, and there is a VDOT entrance, but VDOT has commented that they're concerned that the current entrance doesn't meet VDOT commercial entrance standards. However, depending on the trip generation, a moderate volume or low volume commercial entrance might be allowable. So in your considerations and deliberations, you should make sure that any recommendation for approval is combined with a need to meet VDOT requirements for the entrance. And I imagine based on the type of use that they're suggesting, that it will not need a full commercial entrance because they would be under 200 trips, which would qualify for a moderate volume commercial entrance, or 50 trips for a low volume commercial entrance. So, but that will have to be borne out by the applicant through the IT trip generation manual to satisfy VDOT's comments. I'm very sorry for that.
That's right.
Mix up there.
Happy to know that it wasn't just me.
It seems like it was just yesterday, but it was really several years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Thank you for that. And at this time, do you all have anything to add? You're welcome to make some remarks to the commission.
So first and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for your time. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Apollonia Sierra, and I'm a nationally board certified doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. I own and operate Forsythia Acupuncture and Herbs, currently located inside Stonewall Abbey Wellness, inside the gym. Over the past year and a half, I have cultivated strong relationships with the local community, offering holistic care rooted in traditional Chinese medicine. I'm applying for a special exception to operate my practice in the building located at 11961 Lee Highway. This location offers a peaceful, quiet setting that is ideal for the nature of my work, which includes acupuncture, herbal consultations, and spa-style treatments, grounded in traditional Chinese medicine principles. So the nature of my practice. While I'm applying under the category of a spa, it is important to clarify that this is not a conventional spa. Forsythia Acupuncture and Herbs offers Chinese medicine-based therapies that are unique to this region and deeply therapeutic, including acupuncture, which is a gentle, relaxing treatment that can be used for pain relief, stress reduction, hormonal balance, and more. I also do facial acupuncture, which is cosmetic and therapeutic needling to improve overall skin tone, circulation, and reduce tension in the face. I also use several other modalities, such as cupping, which is a suction-based therapy that draws out stagnation and improves circulation. These treatments are quiet, non-invasive, and deeply restorative, requiring a tranquil environment which this building provides. So now discussing the interior layout and the operations of my business. The building will include 2 treatment rooms for individual sessions, and there will be 1 large waiting room at the entrance for guests to relax before and after appointments. This layout supports a calm, professional atmosphere and allows for future growth. My operating hours, as you can see, are Monday through Wednesday and Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. My current volume is 6 to 7 patients a day, each seen for 1-hour sessions. There is future potential with 2 treatment rooms. There's potential to serve 2 patients per hour or to welcome a licensed massage therapist or part-time acupuncturist in the future. Now, digging into the zoning code compliance, which I'm sure is your biggest concern. I'm committed to full compliance with the zoning ordinance, specifically the 170.36E. This section outlines permitted and special exception uses in various zoning districts. My practice qualifies as a low-impact, health-oriented personal service, consistent with spa use and eligible for special exception consideration. The next code is 170.66.0. This section governs home occupations and small-scale businesses that maintain the character of the area. My practice is quiet, appointment-based, and does not generate disruptive traffic, noise, or waste, aligned with the intent of this provision. I have also consulted with the health department, as you may see in the notes, which recommended a bacterial water sample to ensure safety for all occupants, which would be my patients or whoever will be coming in for treatment. I plan to complete this pending the outcome of this zoning review. So, concerning the community and economic impact. The building's use as a wellness space will prevent vacancy and contribute to the aesthetic and vitality of Sperryville. Tourists and travelers are more likely to be drawn to a town with thriving, visible businesses. Forsythia Acupuncture and Herbs will contribute to the economic growth of Rappahannock County by offering a unique health-focused service that complements the area's values and attracts wellness tourism. And finally, environmental and neighborhood harmony, and that's one of my favorite words. Treatments are quiet and require a tranquil atmosphere, no loud equipment, retail traffic, or disruptive activity. The building's layout and location support a peaceful and professional environment that respects neighboring properties and the rural character of the community. In closing, Forsythia Acupuncture and Herbs represents a thoughtful, low-impact wellness space that honors the quiet character of Sperryville while offering something truly unique to the community. My goal is to continue serving Rappahannock County with integrity, professionalism, and care while remaining fully compliant with zoning regulations and health standards. I appreciate your time and your consideration, and I look forward to the opportunity to grow in a way that supports both the local economy and the well-being of our residents and visitors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. All right. Well, with that, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on special exception 25-5-1, Three Bears LLC, owner and Apollonia Sierra applicant lease. for the spa special exception. Anyone that would like to speak on this application, please come to the microphone and address your comments to the commission. Please identify yourself by name and the district in which you reside.
My name is Tom Oliphant. I'm a county resident, and I represent a sizable and growing collection of Dr. Sierra's patients who all swear by her. None of you has lived until you've been tortured in Susan. Until you've been tortured in Susan Huff's gym and then go in the back and have a few dozen needles stuck in you. She will be a tremendous asset to Main Street, which is so lovely already. And this is such a wonderfully economically productive but unobtrusive way of adding to the value. I gather you prefer the word spa to describe this. We don't care. Shakespeare, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. We hope you'll give favorable consideration to our dock.
Thank you.
Joyce Harmon, Wakefield District. I'm also a patient of Apollonia's. I'm also a professional veterinarian who also does acupuncture and know how popular it is. But looking at this as a business enhancement for Sperryville, I think this is an ideal use of that space. The traffic issues that have been discussed are going to be non-existent because of the low volume and the slow. It's not like everybody shows up at 9 o'clock. It's spread, all the traffic is spread out throughout the day. And I just think it would be a fabulous asset to our community and a perfect use for that building and space.
Thank you, Joyce.
Good evening, everybody. Sherry Woodard, Piedmont, and a long-term person in Sperryville, having my own businesses there for many years. I've gotten to know Apollonia and her work. Think she is really a huge asset. It's already been said, but to me, it's the exact kind of business you want in a small town. Very, very easy, low traffic. So I hope you will certainly consider this and vote in favor of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, and with that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. With this being located in Piedmont District, Mr. Sisk, would you like to go?
Sure. I can actually relate to the torture piece because I lived in Bangkok for 3 years, but that was mostly alcohol, so. I think it's great in the commercial zone. You're looking at your hours. I don't see where really you'd have any more than maybe 4 people. I mean, you have a room for 2, correct? Yes. So even if you had 2 people in there and 2 people waiting, I mean, the traffic shouldn't be that pronounced, and your schedule's Monday through Wednesday and then Friday, so you're not really there on the weekend. My only question, nothing that's going to showstopper, is just like Mr. Curry said, that piece that VDOT wanted addressed. I think you addressed that, and I don't have any issues. I think it's a good fit, and certainly commercial zone. So good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else down that end?
I think if you check all the boxes that VDOT or the water authority needs you to check, it's perfect.
Ms. Ritter?
So I went and looked at it, and it's already a big improvement. I think there's really nothing worse than having vacant buildings in a commercial zone. So hooray for you just for going there, and it looks so good. I really commend you, and I wish you all the best. I think it's a great location. You've done a great job, and I can't imagine that the entrance is going to be much of a problem. And you can see a long way as you come out there in any case. So.
Gentlemen?
I agree with everything that's been said. However, when I look at the application, I don't really see anything that constrains it to what you described as your expectation. And I guess I'm just trying to think about, once we approve this, it starts out in this scale. Is there anything that kind of limits it to this sort of low-key operation once it's approved? I mean, we wouldn't be, presumably this permit would apply to the property. So I guess I'm still trying to think through that. I don't see anything here that's in the application that specifies that there would only be 2 treatment rooms. Personally, I would prefer to see a few more of those expected details articulated so that we, aren't surprised, God forbid, 5-10 years from now when this thing is sort of morphs into something different, that, that we don't wonder what we were thinking 5 or 10 years ago. So that's my only concern. Nothing that's been said and described. I mean, I think I agree with everybody. It's like a perfect use. I'm just not sure it's sufficiently articulated. That's all.
So I guess I'm next. I'm going to be 180 degrees different from Gary. This, because of the little category missing here for SPARA, that's a permitted use by right, they had to go through this process here. And it is highway commercial, and when you look, when you try to think about what the end result is here, it should be, you look about what's happening or what is there already on the whole length of the highway commercial. And you have a mix, and it's a growing mix, and it's a very compatible village mix of uses and services. As you go up there, you have a computer shop repair, you got residential, you got automotive repair, you got a barber shop, you got some home-based businesses, you got a coffee roaster, you got Estes Mill there that has the cidery and some entertainment features, and then you keep on moving up, and you got eateries and tourist events, places. So, when you look at this property, I think it's the things that restricts this property is its size. It's restricted by the size of the building, the size of the lot, and so it's naturally restricted. It's not a property that you can expand. And by the mere use of this property, where somebody comes in for an hour-long service, that automatically is going to reduce the traffic. And if there is 2 people working there, the traffic increases by another car, and I don't see where that is detrimental. And this should almost be considered as a by right use. And most of the businesses on this stretch, they have no restrictions on hours of operations. Because this doesn't have its own little category, I don't know whether we should put hours of operations on it. It should be pretty much as they see fit. Maybe there becomes a need where by appointment that somebody needs to show up on a Sunday, and it may be, it may not be. Or there may be somebody that can't get there until 9 o'clock, or they do a half a day and they switch around or something like that. So, and there's no residential uses really that affect this property that we would have to worry about when we address the brewery down at the Emporium, the old schoolhouse there. It was residential across Water Street there that we addressed some concerns about here, but there's no residential here. That is impact. I mean, there might be some residential uses in the highway commercial itself, but there's none, there's not a community of residential there that would be impacted by any greater or lesser use. So I'm not concerned about if they are successful and they go up to 2 people full-time. I think if they meet the VDOT and meet the WSA, I'm happy to go ahead and approve. And I think we should do 2 things to the staff recommendations. I think we should lift the hours of operations and let them operate their business as they see fit, just like every other business on that stretch. And they're in a profession, a doctor, a professional business, that all the time in my banking relationships where I see these practices are sold. Whether it's a doctor's practice, or veterinarian practice, a dentist practice, or whatever it is, they have value as they become more successful. And I wouldn't want her to have a very successful business there, and then if she was to sell this business, she would have to be held up by an approval for a new owner to have the same use, because, as I said, this use here is, it should have category, and she shouldn't even be here. So I'm in favor of lifting staff recommendations 1 and 4.
Could I just wrap part of that?
Absolutely.
I just want to be clear, I agree with everything you said. My only point is on the VDOT approval and this question about how many trips, because I guess once that's approved, I don't know, I guess it's up to VDOT to maintain it if it's approved for 50, but how does our decision tonight play into that?
VDOT's going to look at it now, ultimately, when they are granted they're asking for you to consider their input. But once the facility's open, they're not out there looking and counting traffic 5 years from now to see if it's gone from 50 to 51 or 200 to 201. So that's a judgment that this body really needs to consider. And if there's a concern, get that nailed down and make sure that the entrance meets a high volume commercial entrance, which is over 200 trips a day. And I just can't imagine based on what they've described. And you could, a condition could be fashioned.
My point would be that it should be
that.
limited to the VDOT approved entrance requirements, that's all. I mean, to me, since that burden is on us, and this site has had visibility issues, the only thing that I think is pertinent is that we don't kind of let it in under one presumed volume and then watch it expand to something we didn't anticipate.
Yeah, so
that's the total focus of my.
What's the remedy if something like that does happen naturally? Their business grows and expands beyond belief? I mean, is it complaint based that, hey, there's a lot of traffic coming on here?
Yeah, it's usually only going to happen at a time when a site plan is reviewed or a process like this. A condition could be crafted something like the use shall operate in a manner that's consistent with a VDOT moderate volume commercial entrance or less.
Or whatever they approve,
And
whatever
then-
VDOT approves is all I'm.
Well, VDOT will approve a larger one if they change a bunch of things for their entrance.
Well, that's my point. If they can get it to clear VDOT for a higher volume, then I'm okay with that. I just am trying to say, would we want it to be constrained by whatever VDOT approves?
So Mr. Carey, if they're very successful and they want to mushroom this business and they want to add 1,000 square foot to the building, that's a whole new application.
That is true.
Right. So if they're successful and they build, they're back here, and then we address all the increased issues of the traffic, parking, and everything else. So, I mean, for what they're doing in this size building, you know, it's a nice fit.
So is the approval for just this building and use? Because I thought it was for the site.
It's for this use. There are a number of by right uses this building could host that would not be before you tonight, that would likely be more intensive.
So it's this use in this building, so I guess
So you touched on something there. So food services is permitted by right.
Correct.
So I could do a sub shop or deli there and have 10 cars, 20 cars an hour.
And they would have to satisfy VDOT requirements for that commercial entrance.
Same issue.
Okay, thanks. This is a wonderful use.
So I actually think you're going to have a whole different problem. I think you're going to have a problem similar to caninology, which is that you're going to run a by appointment business in a very visible area with a very attractive building. And so this is not inherent in your application, but I would just think about how to handle foot traffic when you're not really a foot traffic business. Because when the for rent sign comes down and your shingle goes up, people will be naturally curious about what's going on in your space because it's an attractive space and it's an historic building that many people have attachments to. So you will have people stop by to see what's going on. And so while you're offering your therapies that are relaxing and private, you may have people up at your window, which has been the experience of a similar business on 211, by appointment only, offering very structured dog training, and needing that one-on-one atmosphere for that kind of training. So it's certainly not the part of what we do to make that recommendation. But, just food for thought, I think you're going to have a lot of interested people coming to see what's going on, which is wonderful, and I'm glad for you. I had similar thoughts to Mr. Light in terms of, you don't have endless parking, you have 12 spaces. It's not a problem if it's 2 practitioners, as many as 4 patients with overlap. Maybe you have somebody sitting at the desk, you're up to 5. Maybe half a dozen cars if you have somebody just pop by. But if you start to think about other things, like classes, you're not going to have a lot of space to park people. Is something like that in your business plan? Because if we're going to grant you 7 days, endless hours, nature hates a vacuum, and people are going to say, hey, you have this great space now. Can I do a class there? Perhaps somebody might come to you and say that. Is that something that you would entertain? And would that be part of your business plan? And that's always my concern with these businesses on 211 is that is a major arterial roadway, and we need to make sure we keep people safely off of the road.
I agree. So safety is priority, and if I were to consider, which I haven't, it's an excellent idea, so thank you.
You're welcome. Would you mind to use the microphone for the minutes? I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
Again, wonderful idea. So, taking that into consideration, if I were to use that space for a class, there would definitely be a maximum occupancy to reduce the traffic and enhance the safety issue concerned.
That's my only concern, is that whatever you do there, please realize you're constrained by those maybe even minus the handicap 11 parking spaces.
Yes.
I say that with hope, wishing you all the best. I hope you have problems with growth. I hope it does great, and you look at how to build your business. But that's the major thing for me is safety next to 211.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, Mr.
Do
Smith.
we have to approve it with regards to low density, or do we just leave that open, let BDOT deal?
Gary, should that be inherent in what we recommend?
Well, I think you could, I don't know that you want to attach a recommended condition that ties to compliance with the July 9 letter, because that presupposes that it's a full commercial entrance. But I do think it would be appropriate to have a condition that ties it to VDOT entrance requirements. So those are going to be inherently consistent with the intensity of use. And they'll have to prove the intensity of use to VDOT to get that permit.
That would certainly satisfy my concern.
All right.
So I'll make the recommendation, we approve it, or send it forward to the board supervisor for approval under that condition. And as Mr. Henry said, we just remove the hours of operation, and as long as they're conforming to whatever VDOT says. And the water and sewer, as long as that all pans out.
Sounds good.
And then all lighting will comply with dark skies? I guess we don't have to worry about that because we're going to pass the ordinance, right?
Well, I think with your motion was everything in the staff report except for 1 and 4.
1 and 4, yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Thank you, Mr. Light. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. We will look forward to seeing you at the Board of Supervisors. Y'all are welcome to stay, welcome to go. It beats anything on television.
Well, sure, not good.
Thank you.
And thank you all for coming.
I thought that was for me.
All right. All right, that takes us on to one of our comprehensive plan speakers. Thank you for coming out tonight, Miss Wales, Denise Wales from Rappahannock. We appreciate your joining us to discuss your organization this evening.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having us. As you said, my name is Denise Wales, and I recently joined Rappahannock as its executive director in April. So I'm very glad for this opportunity to meet you and speak with you tonight. We at Rappahannock really appreciate the opportunity to update you on how we've been contributing to the community since December 2020. The comprehensive plan process was undertaken. And I say we because I do have some of our board members here supporting me. In this presentation, I'd like to share information about how Rappahannock has grown over the past 5 years, share with you our members' current needs and frankly worries in some cases, and provide some thoughts for your consideration as you review the comprehensive plan. So next slide, please. Excuse me. So we've seen significant growth over the last 5 years and are excited to be celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. You can see from our mission statement here that we are working to help neighbors stay in their homes and the community as comfortably, safely, and independently as possible. Membership is open to any Rappahannock resident who is 50 or better, as we like to say. So I hope that those of you who are eligible in this room consider becoming a member if you aren't already. And our programs are really volunteer-driven. Neighbors are helping neighbors and really trying to strengthen and keep the fabric of our rural community tight. Next slide, please. So as you can see from these statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau, our mission is increasingly important as the population of the county ages. To date, about 700 of these residents are members of Rappahannock, and that's about 19% of the county's population who are eligible. Next slide, please. So we offer a wide range of programs and work continually to introduce new opportunities and services to meet our members' evolving needs. All of our services are free for our members. So you'll see transportation services is probably our biggest program. The majority of our rides are to medical appointments due to the lack of facilities in the county. And our trained volunteer drivers drive many miles to many places, including rides using wheelchair-accessible vehicles. And in fact, we are the only provider of wheelchair-accessible rides in the county. Grocery and prescription pickup and deliveries are also one of our more popular transportation services, among other rides to other things and activities. Under our home safety and emergency preparedness program, we provide home safety assessments, medical alert devices, and install reflective address signs for 911, again, at no charge to our members. And we are increasingly enhancing our emergency preparedness support through resource guides in response to some of the more recent severe weather events we've had. Health and wellness is another very important program for us and is critical to our members. And Rappahannock has taken an initiative to bring together a number of healthcare providers to increase access to healthcare called the Rappahannock Rural Health Network. And I'll share a bit more on that in the coming slides. But we've also been providing educational and recreational activities, and we have a caregiver referral program in which we maintain a list of trained qualified caregivers who are available in the county. To enhance social connection, we have regular social, educational, and recreational activities and special events every month. And we send out a monthly postcard to our members to let them know what we're going to be doing. We also conduct friendly visits and regular check-ins for our more isolated neighbors. And I'll speak a bit more on this in a minute as well. And we have a monthly newsletter and regular updates to help our members stay informed and connected. And not just informed about our own events, but about community activities and events as well. And lastly, we help our members connect with other community resources, such as mental health support from Encompass, emergency funding from the Benevolent Fund, and support from the Department of Social Services. We have a vendor referral list, and also that is member-recommended vendors and service providers in the county and surrounding areas. Next slide, please. So I'd like to use 2024 to give you a sense of our funding sources. We have relied on the generosity of private donors, local advocates, and various foundations since 2021 when we eliminated membership dues. And we did this to reduce barriers to entry for our programs and services. Our gross revenue in 2024 was approximately $290,000. 75% of that was from grants and 25% of that from private individual donations. And we estimate our volunteer contribution in 2024 to equate to approximately $154,000. So a pretty significant amount of volunteer time, sweat, and tears. And we receive grants from local foundations and organizations such as the PATH Foundation, Northern Piedmont Community Foundation, and Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. We receive grants from state-funded organizations such as the Rappahannock-Rapidan Regional Commission. And we received federal funds last year from the Health Resources and Services Administration, which is HRSA, you may have heard of, and that's under the Department of Health and Human Services. And that was to establish the Rural Health Network. And as we're growing, our funding needs are growing, and we really want to more fully address health, transportation, and safety in particular, which I'll share more on in a minute. Next slide, please. Our membership is not only aged, it has increased, and the diversity of our membership, and mostly its income diversity, has increased along with a range and intensity of needs after eliminating our membership dues. We started some new programs in response to those needs. During COVID-19, we started the Rap at the Door and Friendly Visitor programs, and these programs are meant to help combat social isolation and serve as welfare checks to see how our more isolated neighbors are doing, and if they may need gentle encouragement or support to consider taking advantage of other services we offer. We had a companion care program with a grant from the PATH Foundation, which provided caregivers to the Department of Social Services clients. And while we're no longer directly providing caregivers, we have continued our caregiver referral program, through which we help our members connect with qualified screened caregivers in the county. And we also support caregivers in the county by connecting them with potential clients, covering general liability insurance, and providing training opportunities. Another program we started is called Ready or Not, and it's a program through which small groups of people, sometimes friends and neighbors, but sometimes they're folks who are initially strangers, and who come together and are guided through a process to help them think about and plan for various options as they age in place. Again, and we've also been deepening our collaboration with community partners, a good example of which is with the Rappahannock-Rapidan Regional Commission. They've started supporting us this year with a paid part-time driver to help us better meet our transportation needs. And then in 2021 is when we established, we identified healthcare as a critical priority for our members, and we launched our health initiative. Initially, it was with volunteer time and support. We've also received some private funding for it. And then, as I mentioned, in 2024, we received the grant from Health and Human Services to launch it. Again, it's called the Rappahannock Rural Health Network, and we are partnering with 12 other community partners, soon to be 20, let's hope. The network has initiated several initiatives. A major one is the expansion of the school urgent care clinic for Rappa-at-Home members at the time, and that's thanks very much to Superintendent Grimsley's support in making that happen. The network also has plans for several more initiatives. And next slide, please. So our plans going forward take account the challenges the county's aging population faces, And these are challenges such as the unknowns about changes to Medicaid and Medicare, reduced federal funding, and reality of the limits of services in the county. We will continue to advance and improve our critical services, particularly in these three areas: transportation, access to healthcare, and safety. Under transportation, we'll continue our collaboration with the Regional Transportation Commission. They have requested funds to help us recruit more volunteer drivers, get additional vehicles, and expand our paid drivers' hours. Under our healthcare initiative, hopefully the school urgent care clinic can be expanded for the entire community. We recently received a grant from the University of Virginia Health to start a public information campaign on self-management of chronic diseases, where we'll help educate people, help and give them some devices such as blood pressure cuffs, oximeters, and this similar things to help them more to better manage their health and what to do when they see a spike in it. And then we also have some strong possibilities to start a community health pilot with EMS, which would be something similar to paramedicine, not exactly paramedicine, but a lot of similarities. And then also another possibility to bring a primary care mobile unit to the community. And on the horizon is exploring pharmacy options. So we have lots of plans of things that we would like to accomplish. And then with safety, we do plan to continue and expand our emergency planning support, and are looking at private and grant funds to increase our ability to provide more medical alert devices and other home safety measures for our members. So next slide, please. So as you've seen, Rapid Home has grown a lot in terms of our membership, our programs, and our funding in response to the growing needs of our aging population. We want to help, and we can help, but there are things that go beyond our scope as a small organization. So we wanted to share some food for thought as to what might be considered at this stage of your comprehensive plan review. With regard to access to healthcare, even as we try to bring in more healthcare options to the county, transportation to those options, as well as to specialists outside of the county, will be needed for the foreseeable future. And expanding access in the county means trying to attract qualified medical professionals, as well as growing the pool of qualified caregivers. As we age, it becomes more difficult to maintain homes and properties, and that can get away from people, and homes may fall into disrepair. And I was glad to hear the Goodwins thinking ahead about their needs, but sometimes that's not possible. And those homes could become hazards for those living in them, their neighbors, and ultimately the community. We would also suggest considering including assisted living facilities in the comprehensive plan. As people are no longer able to stay in their homes, they are having to leave their community for assisted living options. And we have seen some of our members go to other counties. Lastly, with respect to telecommunications, reliable landline and cellular systems are crucial for emergencies, telemedicine, and social connection, among other things. So Rapid Home stands ready to help, and we'd love to know how we might better partner with the county to meet our needs and our neighbors' needs. Any questions or comments?
You know, there used to be an assisted or living facility, that was Jackson House. And I think there was somebody else in Amosville that was running a very small facility, Mrs. Dilly. And I don't know if that's also closed, but I know Jackson House, there's no, is there any assisted? There's none.
No.
And I think that property is still for sale.
Yeah, if you know somebody who wants to provide assisted living.
And just, I know that's come up from realtors over time, the special use permits for that carry with the land, there aren't any restrictions, so it will go forward if the right person
steps forward.
It takes investors, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you hear somebody, we have the place.
Okay.
Couple questions for you. Your grants there, 225,000. Your particular grants that are coming from the federal government, are they in question with the present?
We have, so it's one grant from the federal government that was $100,000. It was for 1 year, and they did actually extend it for 3 months, so, but we don't anticipate that there will be any follow-on funding.
So potentially your money could go from 225 down to 125, basically. But you had grant money 225 in your budget last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it could potentially be 125 now.
It could be, yeah, or less, yeah.
Yeah. How many paid people do you have on your staff?
So we have currently 3 full-time paid staff. There's one person is a full-time director of the Rural Health Network. So that's a project-based position that would end when the project ends, potentially. And then we have 2 part-time staff. We have one who's the part-time driver that is funded by the Regional Transportation Collaborative, and one administrative part-time person.
And everything's operated at what location? You all have a physical location?
Yes, we are in Rush River Commons now.
Okay. All right. Good. You see a lot of things firsthand in the county in terms of housing, living conditions, and these kind of things. Food. Do you see a lot of shortages of nutrition in homes you go into?
It does vary, and actually I was just on a call this afternoon with the Rappahannock Roundtable. The food pantry actually had their largest number of families or individuals that they provided food to. I think she said 150 some, and she said that a majority of those were elderly people. Mm-hmm. So it does, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of your doctor access, what would be an appropriate level of professional medical people in the county that we should have? Should we have, currently, I mean, how many doctors do we have now? I'm going to be careful.
Is it one, Joyce?
One?
We have one in the
Okay.
county, yeah.
So we got one, and I guess at one time, what did we have, 3 at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least 3? So what is your opinion of where we should be at? Should we have like 3 doctors? Do we need a clinic that is multi-purpose? Along with a drugstore? What do we need for medical accommodations, recognizing that the county is an aging population and the average age is going to continue to go up and these kind of things? What is your opinion?
That is a good question. I don't know, Joyce, if the network has come up with a target number or not. But I think the idea of this primary mobile clinic would be to have several doctors, right, who could come to the county at the general practitioner level and be able to.
Is that a free clinic type of situation you're talking about?
I don't know if it would
different?
be a free clinic necessarily. Yeah.
The free clinic used to come here. And then everybody, they stopped because most of the patients were going to Warrenton anyway. But there was a while when lots of people used the free clinic. It was out of the health department. And they provided us with a doctor. And that was like one, and I know it was at least once a week. It might have been twice.
Do you get very much funding, donations from churches in the county?
Not much, no. Mostly it's private individuals or family funds.
So are your donations from people not associated with the Rapid Home, or are they more like family of the people or our members?
We have a lot of members, yes. I don't know off the top of my head how many, but a lot of our members contribute what they can. I mean, we'll even have some people, try to give $10 to a driver. So we have a variety of our members donating, and then we have some members who can give more. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when we first went to eliminating membership dues, we had some that really stepped up and helped give us some, starting money to help us do that.
So I think you said you have 3 paid staff people?
Mm-hmm.
And how many active volunteers that come in and help with, would
That
you
is-
say?
We, I would say we have about 80 people who are signed up as volunteers, and we are, I would say maybe 20% of them are active, and we're really actually now making a push to increase volunteer contribution, and we're reaching out to folks who are maybe not even eligible yet to be members, but who are interested in our mission and want to be part of the community and see it as, sort of giving forward, right? And you'll see, I would say those people who established Rappahannock 10 years ago did that with the idea of they would be in need at one point, and we want to make sure that cycle continues.
You must have a pretty robust computer system to keep track of all this stuff. Huh?
No, we do have a software called, system that helps us manage, there's room for improvement, though.
So if you think about, if what you wanted was an assisted living place, I mean, how many people would you think it would need to accommodate? Like, I'm thinking of our zoning and what, how big of a place would you imagine? How many beds, I guess is?
So can I help you with that? If you?
Yeah.
So I just I have a person that I'm a conservatory for that's a Vietnam vet and that had memory loss. And I went through the search for a place. And the place I found was Hidden Springs in Page County, Bentonville.
Right.
And
Which is nice.
It's in the country. I mean, it could be Rappahannock, it's just on the wrong side of the mountain. And I believe that they have around 140 people in there. They have 70 that can functional, and then they have another wing that has 70 approximately in it that need more care, a lot more care. And, it's out in the country, it's very well placed, you really don't see it, it's easy to get to, and well and septic, is no water and sewer. It's pretty good, and the quality of the care there is very, very good, and it's $7,200 a month.
Yeah. There's also a relatively new one as you go into Newmarket too, on the left there, that they did a good job putting in.
That is rehab, a lot of rehab going on there. That's and Medicare long-term. But that's public utilities.
Yeah, this is nicely in the space, though. They did a good job designing that.
Okay, gosh.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity and your time this evening. Please let us know if you have other questions or comments for us. I do want to make sure you know that we're having our anniversary celebration on Sunday, September 7th at the county park, and you're all invited, and I hope you'll be able to join us for some food, beverages, and friendly conversation. Thank you.
We're going to recruit volunteers. So
yeah. And I always make this extend this invitation, that if you are trying to deliver services to Rappahannock County residents, then the county can help you with space considerations. Any way that we can help you find space, if we have space.
Okay.
Let's work together on that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you
So
very
one more
much.
question for you.
Okay.
Of your wish list there that you put up there for considerations, what do you, in your mind, is the one item that stands out the most, that is most urgently needed.
I think it's really access to healthcare. I mean, that's really our critical concern, yeah. I don't know if board members want to add to that, but.
So residential care facility is a special exception in pretty much any zone. And there's a major and a minor, depending on the number. So there's not I believe there's a cap. We can dig into the special requirements, but if that's an angle that the commission wanted to think about within the comprehensive plan as a future vision, that's a neat thing.
Yeah, great.
Very good. Thank you so
Thank you
much for
very
coming
much.
to address
Thank
us
you.
this evening. All right, and thank you, Dr. Grimsley, for bearing with us when when we canceled the other month and coming back to visit us this evening.
After you, no, after you.
Is the handout for after, or do you want me to do that now?
Oh, sure, yeah, thank you.
As soon as.
It's for you, I bring gifts. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now that they've all gone, no. Thank you so much for having me tonight and having this opportunity to speak with you. I haven't been to a planning commission meeting before, so I did find it very interesting. So I thank you for putting me lower on the agenda than I had originally anticipated. That was great. I do see that my data tables were posted on BoardDocs. Ms. Summers had requested that I update those with more current data than what was in the previous comprehensive plan, so I did that, so you have the numbers there. But really, I'd love to talk to the commission. I think it's a great time to consider the school's role in helping you achieve the goals in the comprehensive plan. We are charged with educating the future of this community, so it would be great to tie in and align our vision and our comprehensive plan, which you have in front of you, which is also up for review this year, every odd year by the school board. So it's a great time to just talk about those, some of those goals. And as I was updating data tables and reading through the comprehensive plan, and to be honest, the last time I did look at that was probably, gosh, it's been a long time. I was with Bev Hunter, and we were writing a grant for meaningful watershed educational experiences through NOAA and talking about riparian buffer zones. And this was when I was a little baby teacher here. And we spent so much time on that grant, and we didn't end up getting it. I think we were like 10 points off. But so we've gotten a little better at writing grants since then. But it hadn't changed very much since I remember looking at it way back then. And what I noticed was schools were mentioned a lot. We were mentioned 91 times in the document. But less than 3 had anything to do with how we could be of service to the community as a whole in educating youth. It was much more about numbers, facilities, capital, budget. So it'd be great to align some of these goals to say, and there was one great statement that I saw in there, I'm recalling it from memory, but basically that schools, along with your libraries, public safety, and healthcare, are valuable and vital assets to the community. So I was like, yay, we're in there that way. So if that's true, then we are very interested. I think you see in a lot of the work that we do in the partnerships, collaborations, grants that we write, like even the one with Rappahannock and opening up urgent care for our citizens. We revamped our entire health science academy to try to meet the need of the first responder shortage here. Lots of examples, and there's a lot in the comprehensive plan that talks about agritourism and agriculture. We developed an entire agriculture academy, which is the #1 student organization through FFA and the #1 requested program we have. So we are always looking at ways to connect our students with their community that they do love and give opportunities to do that and help meet the goals. But I did want to provide you with our comprehensive plan so that you can see everything that we do by code is guided by this document. So when there's questions about why we're doing something or where we're going, this document guides everything from our continuous school improvement plans to our individual goals as administrators, as instructional staff, as support staff. And we review these every year in leadership and make sure that we're all working toward meeting those goals.
So that's the guiding document. It is up for review by the school board this year. But we do believe that positioning education and youth development more strategically and connect it to the county comprehensive plan will help our community's long-term sustainability and maintain the rural character that we all do value. The approach has been shown successful in comparable rural Virginia counties. There's a few that I mentioned in my letter that's also in the packet that really do tie it to economic development strategies and workforce development. So especially with career and technical education offerings, because those have to be very selective with and responsive to the local and regional labor market. So just a lot of information to digest, but I thought it would be just great to open the dialogue and provide you with some of these numbers and the documents that guide what we do.
You know, honestly, so I've been spending a lot of time on the comprehensive plan recently as we've been going around. And I was sort of surprised that having a quality education or educational institution was not one of the top goals. So I definitely think it's important to include that. I mean, it's critical to the existence of an educated population within the county to have first-class schools. So I'm glad you mentioned that in your letter because I've been thinking about how to word that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, thank you.
Anyone else?
Currently, your senior classes, size?
This one's in the 60s. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's probably in here. What are you all experiencing in terms of college bound out of those 60?
It varies from class to class, depending on, it has gone down from 4-year, a lot more 2-year and vocational choices being made, and a lot more scholarship and funding going toward those avenues and pathways.
You didn't give me a number.
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Roughly?
Gosh, I think we had 60% or so go 4-year, and then the rest
30,
mixed
so
up
roughly
between,
36,
yeah.
36, 60. Your the kids that, the young adults that are graduating that are not going on to like a program like that, continuing education, do they, how many of them are getting vocational skills? And how many are left?
Most of them that aren't, yes.
Are not?
No, the most that are not going to 4-year colleges are making choices to go into workforce solutions or Laurel Ridge programs and other trades, drones academy, HVAC, plumbing, welding, and there's a huge demand and a lot of funding going towards supporting students going that avenue. And then what we're finding is even after a couple of years in that trade, then the employer picks up and then pushes them toward higher education, toward that skill set.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard a presentation from Laurel Ridge on that, on the programs. It seems that it's been very successful for the kids. Are there other areas of skills that are needed? Of course, you know, your HVAC, your plumbing, and the trades like that, but like moving into auto mechanics, is there, like Laurel Ridge have programs for those kind of kids?
So auto mechanics is one that we've really struggled to provide opportunities for students. Years ago, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago, we developed the beginnings of an MOU with Page County to go to their tech center for the auto mechanic program. And it was a trade agreement that we had. So we started down that path, and then transportation became a barrier for Page County, not so much us, because we had a shared transportation cost agreement. And that fell apart then, and we weren't able to reinstitute that. But since our Ag Academy launched, there's been a whole lot of interest, and those classes are very full with our Ag Mechanics class, Ag Mechanics Small Engine Repair. So that's how we provide opportunities too for those students.
Is that an online program, or is that where is that?
That's hands-on in the building, yeah.
Here in Rappahannock?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Heavy equipment.
Heavy equipment operator is at Laurel Ridge. Yeah, that's a different, but yes, that's offered to high schoolers. Juniors and seniors can take part in the Trades Academy, which is a partnership with Laurel Ridge. So by the time 2 years are done, ideally, if the students persist through the entire thing, they come out with 4 certifications in HVAC, plumbing, welding, electrical.
So do they start this 11th grade, 12th grade?
11th grade,
11th
yes.
grade. So when they get out, they got 2 years under their belt then?
Yes, if they go through the whole academy. Seniors have a chance to get into, to do one or both programs as well, for plumbing or HVAC at that point.
So are these classes like video online, or they go to Lord Fairfax, Laurel Ridge in Warrenton and Middletown, or just Warrenton?
They go to Warrenton,
Just
yes.
Warrenton.
Hands-on, they go there, and then it's a partnership agreement. The Lions Club helped us sponsor that, so the cost of those courses for those students are no more than $100 per class.
So how many students do you have making that trek?
Last year was our pilot year, and oh goodness, I think we had 14 the first semester and another 9 the second. And that was just the first rollout, so this year I'll have to look at the numbers in the master scheduling. We're only a weekend, so I haven't seen all the numbers yet.
So we had a very robust community meeting Monday night in Castleton, where the community came out for the planning commission and talked about issues in the schools came up. And there was discussion on the 65 students now in Rappahannock that are
Non-residents.
out of the county?
Yes.
Explain that to us, what that means and what that is.
Sure. So it's always been policy since 20 years ago when I started working in Rappahannock, that anyone that was employed by our CPS could bring their children. And that's a recruitment tool I've seen every single district use. It was expanded several years ago. We had some enrollment decline that was concerning, but it wasn't because we're pre-K through 12. You know, it's not in one area where you can riff a kindergarten teacher because it's that one cohort or it's up here. So 65 kids spread out over 13 grade levels. So there was some discussion on the school board at that time to say, well, we're losing state funding without mitigating that cost. How can we help preserve that with a system that will provide also a recruitment tool for community agencies? For instance, DSS hired their last 2 people because they could bring their kids to Rappahannock. They can apply for a waiver for tuition. So what that happens is there's an empty seat in that classroom. And the process, there's a very stringent process for it. There's an application every year that they must do. So say I'm a parent of a non-resident student that wants to work in the county, and I fill out the application. The first place it goes to is the school and the principal to say, okay, they have a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. What's the space? Do I have any space to accept any? If there's none, then the answer is no. They can't come. Then it goes further into, okay, is there any discipline record, any attendance issues, any added services that will be additional cost more than the ADM revenue that we would get? If that's true, that's assessed and that's charged to the family. There's a tuition rate that's calculated by the per pupil amount minus operating expenses for what the tuition would be. It's about $10,000 right now per child. They can apply for a waiver if conditions are met. So the waiver of tuition, which most of the ones that apply know about these, so that's why they apply. They know they can meet them potentially. And they apply for the waiver. They must work in the county, own land, pay taxes if they're not an RCPS staff member. So what that's done is, yeah.
So you got 3 conditions they need to meet, or just one of the 3?
Well, they have to meet at least one of those.
Okay.
Yes. But beyond that, then there's a high risk to those families that are coming in with non-residents, because to maintain non-resident waiver status, those conditions must be met. And the student must maintain good academic standing, good behavior records. So if that's not met either, then the application is not approved for the following year. So they have to apply annually for that. And what it's done is helped us kind of close that gap in the funding revenue that would have been lost without bringing down the cost very much for what we need to operate.
So the 3 items was, you've got to be an employee in the county, the parent has to be employed, you have to own a piece of land in the county?
Yeah, own land or pay taxes, yeah. If you own land or pay, yeah.
Okay, so it's 2 items.
Those are 2, or an RCPS employee.
you couldn't be employed by the sheriff's department?
Exactly, yes.
You can be?
Yes,
Okay.
You could work anywhere in the county.
Right.
anywhere in the county.
For the bank.
Sure, yeah.
So how is
Oh, you
one,
work any place?
how is 1 and 3 different then? Because 1 was you work in the county, housekeeping track,
Yeah.
and 3 is you work for RCPS.
Well, if you're an RCPS employee, that's an automatic,
Okay,
so
that's
you
the
don't have to do,
recruitment.
yeah.
There's no tuition,
right.
that's the automatic way.
Yeah, mhm.
So it's a question of who pays
Right.
the tuition. The default is if you work in the county but you don't work for RCPS, you have to qualify to get the waiver.
Yes,
If you work for RCPS, you automatically get the
Yes.
waiver. Is that what I'm?
correct.
If you don't call for any waiver, you might still be able to come, you just have to pay.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
But you might not, you wouldn't accept somebody if you didn't have a seat available.
Exactly.
Even if they did pay.
Even if they
Hire a
pay.
whole new teacher.
Yeah.
Have a whole second classroom.
Correct. So $10,000 wouldn't cover another teacher, so we can't expand off of that revenue anyway. And even if they pay tuition, they're still subject to the criteria of meeting the academic standards and the behavior standards, attendance records and all of those. So it's pretty stringent.
So all motels know their vacancy rates. So what is your capacity under this program?
Right now, I'm not sure of the vacancies in the slots. I know the grade levels that we cannot accept any. So our preschool is full for non-BPI, Virginia Preschool Initiative. I know that's full. Our 9th grade cohort is very large. That's one of our largest ones in the 80s, so there's no more seats in certain 9th grade. Although when you're in 9th grade, then your classes are sort of spread out across the high school. So it just depends on those. And I believe our 5th grade was the other one that was pretty full. So if they're full, we can't accept anymore.
So it's not really a pattern much. I mean, your numbers are so small that just a few here or there
Yeah.
will tilt you. Is that, I didn't mean to put those words in your mouth, but that's what it sounds like you're saying. That you don't have, like, gee, the elementary school, there's a big wave coming, or the wave is passing and getting shrink. It sounds like it's.
It's pretty, it seems like it's stabilizing. It came up a little bit after COVID. I hear that CCLC still has a large cohort group coming up, so we're watching for that. But we haven't seen, I don't think it's going to be anything groundbreaking. But I don't think our.
COVID babies coming, right?
Yeah.
2025.
That's right, COVID critters, that's what they're coming.
So part of the
Scratch that.
Sounds like a horror movie. The critters are coming.
So we've been hearing, the lower enrollment levels. Do you see a floor someplace here?
What do you mean by floor?
Well, I mean, you're worried down 700 now?
780, yeah,
Said something what?
780.
80? What got down into the sixes at one time?
Yeah, we had that one dip year, I believe, that was 691, yeah.
So do you think like 700 plus or minus some number is a floor that's going to be pretty consistent?
I believe so, yeah. I do. I believe, and without, if the comprehensive plan stays quite as it is, I don't see that there's going to be a huge influx of families anytime soon into Rappahannock where they would bring a very huge boost to the student enrollment. But there is also a phrase that I thought was telling in the comp plan that expanding or building schools is definitely not on the table. It's something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm like, yeah, I guess I agree with that.
How about languages in the school system? How many do you have? Very many languages in the school?
So languages is tough. So this is one of the areas where full-time equivalent teaching is difficult, right? Because it would be great to have a whole bunch of languages. However, if I only have need of 2 sections at a time.
Do you mean ESL or do you mean?
People speaking other languages.
Oh, I thought you meant foreign languages like offered.
No.
That's a different issue. Okay.
Yeah,
So English as a second language students, we run about, it depends year to year, between, I've seen it as low as 18, all the way up to now in the high 40s. Yeah.
Mostly Spanish?
Yes.
I know at one time Rockingham County had like 20-some languages in their school
They
system.
did. They did. 73% ESL in that area. It's huge, yeah.
So part of the discussion the other night, which I think Chris Parrish was thinking, was that if our school is as good as it is, so much better than when Culpeper, that we would be getting a lot more students, and if we charge them a tuition that would be better than most private schools, and I guess I don't know what the private schools are.
I think we kind of already do.
We
I mean,
do
they
that,
have the
right?
opportunity to do that. The school board is discussing putting in a minimal fee for all waiver students next year for some of the subsidies that the county provides anyway. So that's something we heard from the community very clearly, and that's something that they're talking about now and what that would be and trying to calculate that out. So we'll see if that has any impact.
So he was trying to figure how many students would it take from Culpeper paying the $10,000 to cover, whatever the deficit is in our.
That's how we make our $1 million.
Yeah. That's where he was headed, right?
Just add the right number of zeros, and we'll be there.
That'd be amazing. We just have to have the best education possible and they
I
will
know,
come, right?
man,
Yeah, that's what we're
right,
doing.
Which means we have to invest, right?
Yes.
We did look at the number that would potentially budge the LCI, and it was up to 990.
It was higher than that. It was like 1,000 something, wasn't it?
was
Yeah.
a bunch. I think it's on the desktop somewhere, but.
Yeah.
How many, and I'm not holding you to it exactly.
It's okay.
How many employees are at the school?
Employees total, all categories, 171.
Okay.
One of the programs that I've seen recently that when I hear you tonight, and then we've just had this presentation from Rappahannock saying, we need doctors, we need healthcare providers, is there are high schools now that have these programs where you graduate and part of your scholarship is a commitment to come back and serve your locality in the future. Have you all thought about doing anything like that, knowing
Yes.
how,
We tried, right?
I mean, that's everybody's dream, right? To come back to their hometown and make a go of it. And how can we encourage that?
Yes, exactly. That's something, and I hear it all the time. I do have non-residents. A lot of those non-residents are former students that want their children to grow up where they came. So it's interesting that way. But yes, trying to have them come back and provide service really depends on quite a few things. But there was one program when we first began our Health Science Academy. We developed a CNA program with the help of RAPU then, now it's RAPC, and we provided that, and there was a partnership we developed with Heritage Hall Nursing Home and created CNAs to come back to work with those aging in place, and that was the whole kind of pathway. And then Laurel Ridge and Shenandoah University created a post-secondary pathway for pre-allied health that those students automatically got into if they completed that program. The problem was instructors and keeping the viability of the program, because students would sign up for these like EKG class, phlebotomy and all that, and then you turn over the person at RAPC or RAPU that was providing the service or for us, and they can't complete the program. So we said, look, if we don't have definite that we're going to finish it, we can't do that. But that was one example. Another one we have right now is that we wrote a lab school in partnership with 3 others. Governor Youngkin introduced the lab school idea, and we always are struggling to find qualified instructors, of course, and I don't know why, it's the best place in the world to work, but so the idea behind that is very much what you're talking about. So these students finish with an associate's degree in education, and this was approved. We have a 6-year plan. We have an approved lab school with Orange, Madison, and Culpeper. So our students that are in the program get an associate's in education when they graduate. They have a guaranteed articulation agreement with different universities who have partnered with us, and they only have to complete 2 years, bachelor's degree, license, and then a guaranteed job in one of the partnering districts for 2 years. So that's one of those.
JMU is one of them, right?
They were one of the originals, but then they switched their presidents, and in the interim, they pulled out of the grant agreement for now, but I'm sure they'll come back on.
Very good. Thank you for all that. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Along the vocational stuff, and you're just talking about medical professions and those avenues, is there, instead of changing oil and working on motors, are there programs that also align with the medical profession that would kind of tie into the rapid home stuff that they were
Yeah, in fact, that was why we changed our entire health science model. We noticed that the pre-allied health pathway was really difficult to keep instructors that could keep that going for licensure. But we saw that viable need with first responders in the community. So we changed our health science to be responsive to that. So we started the EMR program, Intro to Medical Sciences. And that program yielded over 9 volunteers for our fire and rescue.
We got one in Fern Hill.
Yay.
It's absolutely terrific.
And when Al was asking you about vacancy rates, you told us about the ones where there was no room, but what about the other grades? How much space is there?
I mean,
How crowded was it back then with 300 more kids?
well, when I started, I do remember, I can't tell you exactly the vacancy rate. It would not be, I mean, I couldn't see the elementary school getting much over 650 students across the board, which would only be 150 more, you know, so across that many grade levels. But that's without calculating all the seats and making sure and seeing the needs. But yeah, the vacancy rates, I'm not sure exactly on this, but way back, when I first started, there were 4 teachers in every grade level and an 8 in every grade level. Since then, we kind of moved based on the cohorts and adjust staffing that way. But there wouldn't be a point in this process where adding any non-residents to the vacancies would increase the need for staff. That's kind of how it protects.
3 teachers per?
Certain grades only have 3. If we had a big cohort like the current 9th graders, we have a big one that was 1st grade last year, 2nd grade, they have 4. They need to accommodate those students to stay in optimal instructional range.
So teachers move up with them? Is that how it gets filled? Or?
Well, it depends. Sometimes, yeah, teachers can make moves. We always put in a
Also, you don't
request.
need 4th, 3rd grade teachers because you only need 3.
Exactly. So we'll see if there's another grade level. So that one that had 4, that's going to move up. So it needs another teacher there. So we usually put it out to staff. Is there anybody that's really interested and good at what they do in that grade level?
Is it all about just funding, state funding, that we have people keep telling us that we need to get more kids in our schools? Is it to meet these levels so we get more money?
Well, we would get more money if we had more students.
Mm-hmm. That's the driver right now. You have a staffing ratio that's tied to the number
And
of
you said
students.
we need about $1,000 before it triggers anything, but we don't know what we do in the school. So we go 20-some years back to find kids that were there, or teachers that were there to tell us what the school conditions were. I mean, that's when I moved here.
Anecdotally, I do believe there were talks at one time about what we need to, well, they have expanded multiple times through the years,
Yeah.
right? They're added wing here, the back wing on the elementary school. And so the size of the school today is its maximum size, but the school's been much smaller historically. But there were talks about expanding or needing a middle school.
Middle school,
Of course,
Right.
History has shown that wasn't needed because the bubble passed, if you will.
Let's talk about that JMU president later. I know somebody.
Do you? Awesome.
The last speaker spoke about the Rapid Home members having access to the care.
Yes, yeah.
Is that happening?
It is, yes. It's not as frequently used because it is urgent care. If it was more chronic care or family practice setup, that would be probably a lot more ideal for that program. But the way it's set up now is really the way it was designed with the telehealth in mind, urgent care, point of care diagnostics. You know, for your sick kid that gets a throat swab, make sure it's not strep or you don't have a fever, go back to class. You're not going home. You know, so that's sort of the design element. So it's many elderly folks that may want to use it, or Rapid Home members, I should say, not elderly, that's very young. So if they want to access that urgent care testing, that's absolutely fine. We would love, ideally, in the grant work we're doing on the RRHN, the health network, and I'm on that team too. We're really looking to expand up those opportunities and anything we can do to provide leveraging some of those resources to help have a separate unit. Ideally, in my mind, it would be a great separate, maybe mobile unit or something that could be either, you know, mobile throughout the county or on school property where we could do more of a family practice base so people could get that chronic care.
So another question. Saw in the paper the other day, I didn't read through all the names and everything, but the photograph of all the new teachers.
Yes.
And It looked like you had a very diverse group of teachers, and maybe it looked like maybe some of them had other teaching careers at other locations. Why does a teacher come to Rappahannock, a teacher?
We asked them that, we put that up. A lot of times, this year, we really got really high caliber teachers for that, did have careers from other places, and other places aren't that great when it comes to education. No, I'm not saying it that way, but it's just low class sizes, the rural character, the community, small community. I think people yearn for that a lot, and that's what we're hearing from some of our veterans. It's time in my career. I need a little bit of a yeah.
So they're coming from adjoining counties, or are they jumping one or two counties to come here? And are they moving?
We've got one
retired here?
It's
early?
interesting. It's very diverse. You're exactly right. We have one from Rhode Island. We have one from Texas. We have one from Pennsylvania. They read about our school, and comparatively speaking, the things that Rappahannock offers was just very attractive to them. So,
And are they finding a place to live here?
Not mostly. So a lot of them do commute. I have
That's
one.
a problem, right?
Yeah, that's what I always worry about, because and some of the relocations, the spouses have a diverse range. So, I have one lady driving over an hour and a half, like an hour and 40 minutes every day. So.
Wow.
That's a long commute, but I do just want to put it in perspective. A lot of people commute for a living, and it's not the end of the world.
That's right.
I commute, it's not the end of the world.
They just don't put in that many miles.
I don't put in 90 minutes each way. There was a time in my life when I did.
You put in far less miles.
Let me ask you a question
Yes.
here that would go into the planning process, Mr. White. If the county had a mechanism for accessory dwelling units where people with acreage could build a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath accessory dwelling unit on their property, would that be attractive to teachers that therefore would probably, I don't know, have a rent from $1,500 to $2,200, $2,400? Would that meet a need?
Well, I think the rent threshold is what would be attractive, no matter what happens with that. That's what I get from a lot of those folks. So when I do have residents that they do email us and say, hey, we don't want to rent to anybody other than teachers or first responders. Can you put this up for your HR department? I love it when that happens. And we're willing to offer heavily discounted rate. And it might be, their home, or even sometimes just a floor or rooms or something. Then, so that's always a benefit. And I always, encourage them to let us know if they have some.
Since you didn't quite answer that, so the teachers that are moving here are predominantly they have a partner? Are they single? Do they have a couple kids? What's their housing needs? Do they need 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms?
Typically, the families will be commuting in unless they have been or have grown in the county and have family connections. Those who are later in their career have moved closer in the county. I do have a couple of individuals who did move in with their families, but not many. Usually it's outside the county and for commuting. But
So are they, like I said, are they single? Do they have partners, or what's the status? All the above.
Yeah, it's all of those.
It's a mix?
Yes.
Can I say, what would be the ideal number of students, both from like a financial and pedagogical?
I think the number we have right now, honestly, I love the numbers. I think that's something that drives people to come here. And I'm probably not going to be super popular for saying that, but the numbers are what attracts teachers. They want smaller class sizes. The parents love it because there's a smaller teacher-student ratio. So I would just like to be able to afford to educate the students that we are given and that we have, because we are definitely receiving the short end of the stick when it comes to state funding, and that's something we've been fighting for years.
There's no, what would trigger more, it's a lot more students, is it 1,000 more, it's how many more?
I can send that analysis to the planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would take over 1,000 students to nudge the LCI in a way that would.
0.8 to 0.799.
Yeah.
Well, and that's assuming all other things stay equal, because there are many other contributing factors in that equation, which are also surely rising, like sales tax, property values.
And they're moving all across the state.
Everywhere.
County is very complicated every 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So, okay, so.
63% increased cost on buses in 6 years.
So the
Those
cap
things are
is
driving.
still the cap is still the big impediment.
Well, state funding,
Yeah.
You have to stay-
regardless of how it comes.
Yeah,
We don't necessarily need to care how it comes.
Yeah.
But more state funding would be very welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that was great. Anything else? All right. Thank you, Dr. Grimsley.
Thank
We really
you so
appreciate
much.
you coming
Thank
and
you
speaking
so
to us
much.
tonight.
Staying late.
And you
Thank
very
you.
modestly didn't say a lot of people come to teach in Rappahannock County because they want to work with Dr. Shannon Grimsley.
Oh. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that takes us, or brings us to the public comment portion of the evening. Anyone that would like to speak, please talk to us, Anita.
Anita Ramos, Hampton District. Just a little comment to you all. In Fairfax County, I know that dirty word, Fairfax. We have a school down in an area near Bailey's Crossroads, elementary school, and this is where all the immigrants come in. It has been since I was in junior high when we started getting the people from Cuba running away from Batista and then Fidel. And now we have, I don't know, like the second largest Somalian population in the country. It's just all kinds of people. There are 32 languages spoken in one elementary school alone in that county. So I can never get over it. But and the block I live in Centerville is people from Goa, India, Korea, half of the Latin American countries. So the diversity there is just out of this world. The other thing about schools that I just heard was that they have a comprehensive plan. So it wouldn't be bad to attach theirs to ours just as an addendum. Might be an idea, just because nobody does this, but my husband and I did. We read the comprehensive plan when we were looking at Rappahannock County. That's what they tell you to do when you move somewhere is, read the paper, look at the county budget, see what the plan is for the county. That's what people should be doing. So anyway, I suggest you throw that one on as an addition. And then for a serious little thought, this came to mind to me going to the services for MK issue. There's two other people that came into my mind that day, Phil Irwin and Bev Hunter in particular. Mm-hmm. And so I know that we already dedicate the comprehensive plan, this last one, to Phil. I hope we continue to do so. But I also hope that perhaps the comprehensive plan could have kind of a list of honor of those who have departed that have contributed greatly to this county for helping with the comprehensive plan or urging the county to be true to itself. So that's just a thought. Names, and you've got to die to be in it, sadly enough. And I leave you with this thought, and I just wrote it down because I'm not sure if I know exactly the words, but I memorized this, I think, in elementary school. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be it yours to hold high. But if you break faith with us who die, we will not sleep. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, and with that, we'll close the public comment. Anybody need a 5-minute break, and then we can come back and finish up, or do you want to soldier on? I guess we're one way or the other. Soldier on. All right, we're soldiering on. Thank you for the inspiring quote. We soldier on. That takes us to old business, the subdivision of land, chapter 147, state code alignment. With canceling last month, it seemed like did we have any details to clean up before moving this forward to public hearing?
No, I don't believe so. The board did hear about it last month, just because Mr. Kearney wasn't at the original meeting, and he had asked just to get an update from the board, and I think planning commissioners have heard from various citizens on this over time. But I think it's in its form to go to public hearing. Michelle and I have reviewed some of the code section that is not in response to state mandated changes. We think there probably are some further changes the planning commission should consider, but I would recommend you keep that separate. I think the public has some comfort knowing that the changes that are here are by and large, those are driven by the state law change.
Okay.
And then you can get into the more subjective discussions later when it fits into your order of maybe some better detail on what plats need to include, and there's some other counties that do a better job of enumerating all those things. And I think that provides comfort back to the planning commission board and public to know that while these decisions are administrative, the boxes that need to be checked have been recently reviewed to make sure that everybody is comfortable that they're onerous enough and have the right questions or requirements to be asked, answered in the process. But I think it should be two pathways, just so it does. Otherwise, it can get muddy. Like this zoning ordinance just started getting really a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts, and it's hard to find what's changing and why.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Do we have any of the other sort of focus areas? Would they impact this part of the ordinance, or
you mean relative to
transient lodging?
No, because it's
those are all land use.
Now we'll say that the same state laws that require the administrative agent, the designated agent approval of subdivisions applies to site plans as well. We got to chase that up as well. Those are both controlled by the same section of state code, which is all the same chapter as zoning and subdivision.
Yeah.
They're just different articles in there. So that's something that we'll have to do at some point.
So what we did hear from the public is that they would like some signage similar to the signage that's posted by staff for a special exception permit when one of these requests is received by staff. So is the suggestion then that be like a separate administrative policy and not be embedded in the
Yes, just like the
language?
zoning signs are not ordinance driven, they're actually practice.
Oh, right.
But there could be policy, could be board policy, quite frankly, if you wanted to require that. When the zoning ordinance review was being contemplated, those sort of things were included. But right now we just do that in practice, and so that I think if the board and planning commission said this is important, then staff will tend to say, okay.
Okay, well, that sounds good, because I think that is the one attendant concern we've heard, and it, I think rightfully so. So I do just want to make sure if we go down this path that we make sure that that policy is in place.
Yeah, and we also talked about like the one page on the website that one would find if they, the signs that are posted at the properties say, hey, go to rappahannock.gov/permit. If you go to that page, it's a running table of all of the recent special exceptions or rezonings or variances that have happened. And so it would be a similar thing for subdivisions. They may be just commingled into that same table. But in addition, people could always go there and look. And then if they see a sign, they would be prompted to go there and look.
That sounds good. Any further discussion, or do you all want to move this on to public hearing?
Yeah, I think we should do that, shouldn't we?
I agree. I think what we've heard from the public numerous times is when we start pulling too many threads at once, it's unclear like what it is. And I like the idea of a clear, defined set of changes that can at least give people some signal as to what we're actually up to with any given hearing.
Sounds good. Do we have a motion?
I move that we put this forward for public hearing at our next
And I'll
meeting.
second.
Thank you both. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any further discussion? Or, I'm sorry, anyone opposed? All right. That takes us on to the outdoor lighting zoning ordinance amendment. Mr. Curry, is this on pause until?
This is on pause, not
Okay.
ready for public hearing, further consultation with Mr. Goff and the members of the community. I've led Mr. Goff to seek an Attorney General opinion on the legality of this. It's not crystal clear, so that request has been sent to the Office of Attorney General.
Sounds good, and we appreciate people who are so invested in this work, and we look forward taking it up again when we have guidance from the Attorney General. All right, and that takes us on to the transient lodging amendments.
This is where the soldiering comes in.
Right?
I think you were you made it pretty far along in this, and then the board had some input which Michelle tried to capture in the narrative of this agenda item on BoardDocs. That would be one place to try to attack this. I'm willing to assist any way you know.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Curry, could you elaborate a bit on what happened? Did we send this forward and that's when they gave that feedback and they came back? Or was this an intervention?
You have not held a public hearing on
We have
this.
not.
I think there was, I don't quite recall whether the board heard from people and said, hey, let's talk about this. Or maybe there was maybe there was a mind from the planning commission to say, we better brief the board and make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, I think there was a pivot, and then we asked for what was board priority.
Okay.
We've worked through some of those priorities, and so now we're back to this.
Okay, so.
So we're back to this, the contractor yard, we worked through that, got that through. And so now we're back to this, and dark skies seem to be at a pause. So this seemed like logical work to take up again now that we have the subdivision language hammered out and ready for public hearing. And I didn't remember that we had too much work left to do on this.
Yeah, I think it's these couple things here that are listed. If you recall, there was a definition change from travel trailer to recreational vehicle because it's a broader category.
Right.
Travel trailer doesn't include an RV that propels itself, and so you want to make sure you're casting that broader category. That had tentacles that reached into temporary mobile home, because that code section said, oh, by the way, temporary mobile homes don't include travel trailers for the purposes of this section. And so that was a question that went to the board. If somebody were to seek a permit for a temporary mobile home, in instance when they're building a house or they have a fire or something, may they put a travel trailer or recreational vehicle on their parcel under permit for 6 months, potentially extendable, another 6 months, while they're building and have an active building permit? Is that okay? Or do we want to say, no, you can't use a recreational vehicle, but you can use a mobile home? Or, like a actual mobile home.
Yeah, and the
board kicked back and said, well, if it's pinned down, as 17041 says, for those times when you have a building permit to build your home or otherwise, then it's okay in those circumstances to allow recreational vehicles. That was their input. So that change could, find its way into the sections.
But that's not been reflected in this.
It's not been reflected. This draft has not been modified at all because this feedback hasn't come to you.
And I'm sorry, what are you reading from there? I'm not seeing that.
Just go to BoardDocs or.
It's on
It's the narrative.
Oh, it's in the narrative. I see. It's just this piece. I got you. I got you.
There was also discussion about the definition of tourist home. And right now, the definition speaks to whether there's some confusion. Is it the only thing in the structure? Can there be anything else in the structure? And I think when you look at the definition, there's a clear distinction from a bed and breakfast, which has multiple lodging units in the same structure, and a tourist home, which is only there's only one in the structure. But does that necessarily mean that there can't be anything else in the structure? Like you've heard cases where there's retail downstairs and they want to have a tourist home upstairs. Is that okay? And so the board went through a bit of a discussion on that, and I think my recollection, and I think it's written here, is that the board thought a tourist home should be allowed in the same structure where there is by right retail, but in no case would there be more than one tourist home in the same structure, which would then kind of throw it into a different category. So that definition of tourist home would need to be tweaked just a little bit to make that clear.
And this came up with the Viewtown store application.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And
I can
there's some
envision
other,
several other scenarios where it could come up.
yeah, absolutely.
Like, can somebody put a tourist home, maybe they have a basement apartment that's walkout or something like that.
For sure.
Could it be a tourist home if they live upstairs?
Yeah.
It's not entirely clear with the current definition, but you could make it clear.
Yeah, I know when, I mean, as I recall, I don't say I know, I recall rightly or wrongly that this was not something that was discussed when we worked on that definition of tourist home. It was just, we were just differentiating it from bed and breakfast. So I think this is a new concept, but quite consistent with what we were really thinking at that time.
And I think arguably impacts are it's most comfortable for neighbors to know that a tourist home is happening if the owner is right on top of them next to them.
Yeah.
That's going to be self-controlled.
Didn't we have an application where they wanted to use part of the home as a tour?
Might have, I don't
But I think they withdrew it, though. It was at the end of Tiger Valley. Was
I
one
can't
of those.
remember that one.
Oh, the one right.
Yeah, I think he wanted to do.
Well, that needed
divide
an
it.
acres waiver as well, which is the next topic. And that is the currently in 17066K, 4, says in A and C zones, ag and conservation, the minimum acres required for tourist homes and bed and breakfast should be 10 acres and 20 acres. However, you can get a waiver. There was a discussion at the board level, and I think Mr. Carney kicked that off. There's never been a waiver granted so far, and there seems to be a general disinclination to grant a waiver. Do you really want to have that waiver language in there? I don't know if this was as firmly held by all the board members, but I think the consensus was just get rid of it. And then you don't have to worry about somebody coming to you saying, yeah, but the code says you can grant a waiver, and it's highly unlikely to ever be done. So it eliminates some flexibility, adds predictability.
But the reason that it was added, it might have had to do with, it used to be you could have a tourist home on fewer acres, right?
Yeah.
Well, this has got a sordid history.
Yeah, right, that's what I remember, yeah.
Boyd had an issue and all that, and it was authority granted to the BCA at one time, when the BCA was approving SUPs for tourist homes. So now it's held by the BOS, and, you know, boards change over time, but I think the general inclination is that
Yeah, we don't want to deal with this. Sure, don't let them have to deal with it, that's right.
And so these are these three things at least, you know, staff would take direction from planning commission. Do we modify this document before it goes to public hearing? Or do you highlight these things during public hearing and provide some language in your advertisement that says it could be A, it could be B?
Well,
That gets complicated.
the interesting thing about the acreage is that I think there was some legwork done by Michelle between our public hearing and the Board of Supervisors' public hearing on the Viewtown store application. And if we had approved that on that small acreage, there were 30 other lots in the same zoning, up and down Viewtown roads, that could presumably apply and say, hey, you know, we're in a similar, if not better situation, and we'd like the same treatment. So while I like to think that maybe there's a perfect situation out there and we could waive it, those sort of numbers
make me question why we would leave the door open.
I think there
And
was
it might just
discussion
be better to
about
close it.
smaller acreage parcels in Rappahannock County tend to come at a lower cost, which tend to serve that need that everybody always talks about. You know, less acreage is lower cost, might have a smaller house, and it might be more approachable for a lot of people to purchase.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's over 10 or 20 acres, it's not going to be affordable under anybody's, idea, so it's not taking away from that.
I think also when we first went to the 10 and 20, it was a buffer to the adjoining property.
Yeah.
That was a primary consideration when we started looking at the 10 and 20s.
Yeah, Warren County actually has a 100-foot setback. And they've been debating that, whether they want to keep that or not. But the acreage is kind of a different way to get at that.
Yeah.
And that falls under the agriculture versus, conservation versus agriculture, correct? The
Yeah,
20.
so 10 acres for ag, 20 for conservation.
But what about so many of the properties in the county that say
If
it's
it's on
20 acres?
Chester Gap and it's in something else,
It's in both. You have agriculture and conservation.
yeah, that gets complicated and it would depend on where the structure is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who originally wasn't super keen on raising the acreage requirements, I agree that I think the one time we've really contemplated this, there was a general reluctance to use the authority because there was really no guidance on what criteria we would use. So I tend to agree that it's a little bit of a false hope, inspiration there. So I would certainly, and I don't know if I put this in the form of a motion if it's relevant, I think I would suggest that we have asked staff to reflect these changes in the draft.
I agree.
Or ahead and propose I don't know if we can go right ahead to the hearing or if we need to see that language first. They seem pretty straightforward. They don't seem very far removed from where we were. So I don't know if we need to have another meeting before we agree to do a hearing. But either way, I'd like to see staff incorporate these changes, especially since seems to be where the board is positioned right now.
The only one that gives me pause is the definition. I think the trailer feedback from the board was pretty cut and dried, and I think the minimum acreage from the board was pretty cut and dried, but what do you think, Gary? Do you think you all have enough instruction to craft the definition? And
I think it's been long enough that we've looked at this. I would feel much more comfortable if we bring this back to you.
So make the change,
Just
come
make
back.
all the changes, bring it back, let's look at it top to bottom.
And put it out
Staff will look
for
at it top to bottom,
October.
make sure there's no other commas out of place or anything, and then you can see exactly what it is you want to advertise.
Advertise it in October then. Okay, that sounds good. That will position us nicely next month to deal with the subdivision and then take up transient lodging after that.
So we don't really need a motion to do that.
No, we'll just look forward to revisiting this next month and hopefully putting it forward for public hearing at that time. New business, comp plan data. I requested this be added to the agenda just in terms of a way forward with a comprehensive plan. Gary, with your staff, what do you think is the best way forward to incorporate new
I
data?
reached out to Mr. Moloney at the Regional Commission. I said the Planning Commission is kind of asked, or can the Regional Commission update data and the maps and stuff we can do? His answer was, when do you want it? But it was generally, yes, he thought that they could help as long as it didn't get, they're not managing a process, they're taking assignments. And so he thought that they could probably do that. They have some staff turnover. The person who just did all the comp plan work for Madison just left. So,
Okay.
but he thought, I think between staff and them, we can divide and conquer.
What do you all think is fair or reasonable turnaround time?
Are we finished with our road tour?
We have one in Monday on Chester Gap.
That's the last one.
That was my last instruction from Michelle, to make sure nobody forgets.
And we don't have any other timeline that we've committed to beyond those years.
I think
12 more years.
You satisfied state law.
Until death do us part.
Yeah, please keep saying that.
Yeah. All you have to do is review it. You've done that, but I think you've made good work at beginning to make some changes, and so I think follow through on that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for the commission, and in all likelihood, I won't be here next March. I'll be sitting out there in the audience to join you all, but I would imagine the way the year of the wheel turns, November, December are not a good time to get anything done. If you're taking this up, say the earliest you get it is October, I would imagine they'd need at least 60 days. It's not really a fruitful, you have maybe a month before Thanksgiving. And then, at least in my life, everybody kind of checks out until the middle of January. And really, I think that that's a luxury that people should be afforded. I think people should enjoy their holidays and take time to be with their families. So I would suggest it would be fair to give them 6 months, which would put us at February, March.
Yeah.
How about February 1st?
That sounds very official. How does everyone feel about that?
I think what you said is reasonable, but I also think, based on what I heard there, that shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna.
We're not
there's no need to
taxing
wait to
them.
the end. If it's done in 2 months, then it's done.
Yeah, from what you described, them, not wanting to drive a process, it seems like that would be enough time to respond to what they said.
How does everyone else feel? Does that seem reasonable?
I think Brian pointed out the first is actually Sunday, but.
Yeah.
They better come deliver it to the county
He
office.
said, might as well make it Grandma's Day.
That means it's Friday, right? We'll accept it on Monday.
Any other thoughts on that, or does that
I
sound
don't think
agreeable?
we're making any tremendous substantial changes.
That's really
It's fine.
the data dump update and
Maybe some.
at some point, the body should review chapter 6.
Yeah.
And make sure the goals
Yeah.
and the priorities and everything that fell from the goals are still what you want them to be. And they need to be tweaked a little bit. I think all the rest is probably just the update.
I guess I would throw one other thing. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but I always felt that the language in the comprehensive plan with respect to, was it the solar stuff that we went into great detail in the comp plan that went beyond the ordinance and kind of felt more like an ordinance?
Yeah, it can be detailed. It begs for ordinance to follow it someday.
Right, because it's kind of ordinance language, which makes us feel like we've done it, but it's not an ordinance.
Right. It is following work that would have been kind of in that big zoning continuum of changes that we talked about, but we pulled off that track.
But to me, it's sort of an odd appendage where everything else is treated in very broad policy, goal, objectives, and then you've got all this detail, and you don't have the detail. I mean,
Well,
I
Silver,
would
we
almost.
have a lot of the telecommunications stuff, there's
Maybe
a
it was
lot
the
there too,
telecommunications.
and it wasn't ported over, and there's a lot of state law that trumps our current local code, that all is on a list somewhere that needs to get done.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, you're kind of referring to the next part, which is repeating it or adding it, and I'm saying, in my ideal vision of this, the comp plan would be sort of consistent in its level of detail, and those detailed ordinance requirements would be in the ordinance, so we didn't have this issue of having to maintain them both if we were changing one, because that always worries me, and it seems like it's an administrative headache. But I guess we could revisit all of that.
Well, staff will gladly accept a February 1 deadline if the commission likewise accepts a deadline to, pick up your book and give it a good read.
Yeah, great.
And then, be ready to come to some future meeting and say, I think we should look at this part.
Yeah.
And then you can divvy up the different parts of the comp plan and say, let's focus some change here, and these other sections are fine.
I think that's
I think that's a good idea.
I would say, I would shy away from taking anything out in there that's restrictive that's in there, because kind of lesson learned on the maps. If it's in there and it's not caused any ruffled feathers, I would leave it in there. Because
one thing
taking it out could be more painful than leaving it in.
I totally
So-
agree.
It would be one thing if we could do both in the same act, move it out of here and put it in here, but I think the point I hear you making is, well, if you take it out of there, then
It's
it's
never gonna
it's
be
gone
done.
for a
Right, I'm
while.
sort of
Where does
of
it
the,
go?
if it ain't broke, don't fix it
Yeah.
mindset.
But it does bring you into the funnel of what you really should include or should not include in an ordinance. And so if you look at it after the benefit of 5 years
Yeah.
and say, you know, that and should have been an or something like that, that you think you want
modify
to
it.
have in the ordinance eventually, now's the time to tweak the stuff in the comp plan.
You could, but you could then.
You could then, but
But my concern is if we get to that point, now our hands are completely tied by the detail of the comp plan, unless we do. But at that point, we could revise it in both places presumably.
I mean, the biggest statement in the whole thing is like on page 96 where it says the future land use plan is basically the existing zoning.
Yeah.
And that's the statement for the whole book is really
Yeah.
2 sentences
Well, that's
right
the-
there.
that's the thing,
And if
break down
that,
6 part.
is that the vision? And if that's the vision, you really, you know, if you change a bunch of other stuff, it's all just kind of window dressing for those 2 sentences.
Well, and we did go into quite a bit of detail on the village by village detail last time, and I do think some of that needs updating, just names have changed or
Yeah.
numbers have changed, but that's not overly cumbersome, and if every commissioner could concentrate maybe on the village and the district that they represent, I think that those could be handled very easily.
And it'll be accurate for a few months.
We try. Let's hope maybe a little longer. All right, so do you need a motion from us, or
I don't think so.
you think 6 months is, okay?
Need some motion from Gary.
All right.
Action.
All right, and this is our rules of procedure. Mr. Curry?
A state code changed a couple years ago saying you have to adopt your electronic meeting participation policy annually.
Right.
Last year when you did this, you modified it and made it much more simple by saying, we're just gonna follow the board's rules.
Yeah.
And so if you could just make a motion to continue following the board's rules.
I
that's all you
so
really
move.
need to do.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you both. Any further
We need to
discussion?
do that for the zoning board.
Did they change anything?
No, no. The state code
We all
didn't
know, we all know what we're signing up for.
No,
State code didn't
I think
change,
it's a ridiculous,
just every year.
ridiculous.
And the
And the
supervisor.
board does
didn't
this
change
every
it.
year now in January.
The board changed that.
All right. All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any
I don't know, I guess they
against?
do it in July, sorry.
All right, electrical generating plant and facilities.
You know, I was gonna suggest that we do this. I really think it's important.
I do too. I had reached back to Sarah Parmley after I got back in town at the beginning of the month, and Sarah was so kind to come and speak to us from REC, and I'd seen that there were organizations making presentations in the county regarding data centers, and I reached out to Sarah because of where we had left our discussion, that if there was something that we should do to please let us know, because we will do it. And so this puts us strategically, this is one way to address data centers without directly addressing data centers.
Why? If it's not in our code, they can't do it.
Well, you know, I just
That's what
think,
they told us.
I know, but
The most
they've changed.
absurd language I've ever heard in my life. While they let Loudoun County in their backyard blow up the way it did, and she said, it's not in our zoning ordinance, says we don't need anything. Why don't we put something on there about data centers? I don't understand.
Well,
And substations can be used for many reasons other than data centers.
Oh, so that's the hook here, is the idea.
Yeah.
But substations are not power generating.
They're not.
My opinion is that, and I believe the courts have ruled that the planning commission board can have some control over where substations go. I don't know that I'd lump it in with electrical generating and just make a separate use, electrical substation. And and then make it a special exception, define it, and then you can, REC comes in and says, we need a third substation in the county, and we want to put it here, and then you can have them explain to you why that spot is needed, why there's proper setbacks and all those things. But if you lump it in with the electrical generating facility, that by definition mandates a 1,000-foot setback. You've got 2 of these right now that have, 20-foot setbacks.
I mean, what are the power line setbacks? They're not even that far.
No, you can't control the power lines.
Yeah.
You can control the substations.
Well, but substations are technically part of the distribution system, so,
Yes.
so would you not, do we not have anything on distribution?
I don't believe you're empowered to
We're not.
control that.
So then, we're not really empowered to do substations.
I think, it makes sense that you wouldn't want a substation right in a residential area, or you would want it to have a certain minimum yard or something like that.
I guess-
1,000 feet is probably more than you need, but
Well, I wasn't being cheeky, I'm just saying if we don't have authority to regulate distribution equipment, how do we have authority to regulate substations? which
transmission
are-
lines you don't.
Okay, distribution equipment, you think we might?
Yeah. I'm not, I'm just going off what Arnold
Right.
said, that some recent
She can come address us.
state laws have said that boards can do this. And this came up in James City County when I was down that way, where there was a under river line coming from Surrey, which the locos could do anything about, but they ended up being able to have a hook on where it came up and where that, whatever equipment was gonna be.
So I didn't want to bury us with this topic tonight. This was just an introduction under new business, and Ms. Parmalee is willing to come talk to us about this approach, and we'll see how we
So I did the
feel.
same thing. I talked to Brian Sonnet, who's the PEC. I said, look, given all these data centers going up in Colquitt, are you sure we should be doing nothing? She said, let me talk to our utilities people, and then she sent back, right, this something.
Yeah, so I
There's
think,
probably some best practices from some,
Well, except they
which
just
is ground
encourage
zero
it.
for this stuff.
Yeah, they're
For
encouraging them.
substations.
What not to do.
right.
Well, for right now, some of the neighbors don't want these transmission lines, and they're forcing them to move around.
I mean, I think it's worth having this person come back
I
and
do
speak
too.
to us. I'd like to have a clear path to how we would change it and a little more comfort before committing to going down a path.
Right.
But I don't think the problem is going away. I do think the problem is still getting worse. So I think it
totally
behooves
agree.
us to continue to address it and talk about it and
And
bring.
we have the power lines. They're going to be using our power lines.
So,
They can't really tap off those most places, but, because
So-
they're going through.
so we'll reach back to Ms. Parmalee and set that up for her to come address the commission.
And I'm sorry, who is Ms. Parmalee?
She's that young lady that came and
Oh, the
spoke to us
PEC.
before from
Oh,
PEC,
okay,
yeah.
okay, I thought I heard 2 different names for the, you referred to her as the
Oh,
PEC person.
Bryn Sonnet is
Sonnet.
our local piece, our Rappahannock piece.
I got you,
so
okay,
She
sorry.
probably went to Carmel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just called her up when I got back in town. List of direction, I don't think anything's changed there. We're just waiting for additional information about the dark skies. And roundtable discussion. Anybody have anything for roundtable discussion?
Affordable housing, since that was kind of mentioned earlier. They're constructing 5, Habitat for Humanity is constructing 5 condo-type units across the street from me.
In Chester Gap?
No, from where I work,
No.
right in Warrenton.
Oh, that's
They're
news.
728 square feet and they're $320,000, and that's
What?
Each
Habitat.
for 5.
each. So, I don't know what anybody's definition of affordable housing
Yeah,
is.
that's-
That's habitat.
Well, see, Brian,
You know what I'm talking about?
Brian,
You
what
know more
happens,
than I do.
Brian,
Well, I know that.
Brian, you can go out and build an affordable unit for $200 a square foot, okay? But then you put in the political process, you put in the tax credits and this and that, the green and everything, and all of a sudden, you got a unit that's $500 a square foot. And it's all these other fingers in there, getting tax credits and this and that going on. I've seen a number of these projects. And it's, you know, they're leads, you know, projects, all the cool things have to go into them. And then they're $500, and there's tax credits flowing to Boston and flowing, you know, to other places. It's all a racket.
I just thought that was interesting. They had to stop traffic and
It's-
hoist those
yeah.
things up over.
So are they then rented to be affordable? Or they're not intended to be
That's
sold?
usually not Habitat's model.
Yeah, that's true.
They've looked at trying to do a number of different things here and just haven't been able to make
They
it work.
did build one down in Wakefield District not too long ago. Isn't there a Habitat house?
There's one up in,
Well, Chester
by
Gap.
Chester Gap,
Yeah.
that's it, I think.
That's the only one I can remember.
You could jump off the road and land on that roof.
Yeah.
I don't know how that thing's there.
Let's hope no cars do.
One a bigger
Cheap, it was
guardrail.
cheap. Property.
All right, anyone else have anything?
So we had an interesting discussion tonight, you know, about, you know, on the assisted living. You know, if you think about the people getting older in the county, and, you know, we talked about the Jackson House, I think that place held, was it eight residents?
I
It was
can't
like
remember.
10,
It
but
wasn't
something like
eight.
that.
It was great, though. I mean, those
I know,
guys
but that's
were great.
nothing, that's nothing. That's
Yeah.
nothing out of the size population we have.
Yeah.
So we say, well, we see these things in other counties that they fit in, they work, but they'll never work in Rappahannock. If you went on Firestack Road, Benvenue Road, Richmond Road, wherever, the community would say, no. No, 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 no. And we have no place to do it. There's nothing, you know, water and sewer in Sperryville, Little Washington wouldn't have it. So it's the reality is that unless there's a determination by the board to allow people to actually stay here until they die, it won't happen. And they're gonna go someplace else and die, okay? And then the thing about affordable housing, you know, how do you do that? We're not gonna rezone a bunch of land that's gonna make 1 acre lots with water and sewer any place. And we don't wanna see subdivisions, we're not gonna rezone anything. So it really comes down to the AUDs. If you're gonna have any type of housing that will, be provided to people in all the different age groups and professions that may need it. So, you know, it's just where it is, and whether or not, you know, there's a stomach, you know, just like this ADU we did tonight, no-brainer. You know, I mean, if that was on 50 acres, I think it'd still be a no-brainer. So, I mean, at some point, we have to just relax a little bit. I don't think we're giving up control, it's simply relaxing. And just like the commercial thing we addressed tonight in Sperryville, that was a no-brainer. And we talked about bringing more businesses into the county, make it, you know, business-friendly. That was a no-brainer. It was a great use, small property. Took an old building and rehabilitated it, and it was a great use. And we have to recognize these things when they come along and the impact, and be realistic and not necessarily say first response is no to everything. No. So, you know.
Second response.
Second response.
I might be biased, but I think we're always very fair.
The executioner always thinks that.
Wow, Al.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
Last reminder,
Tough crowd.
Just
comp
again.
plan outreach meeting, August 25th. Chester Gap.
Hey,
We're
I'll
there.
host it.
There, big
I'll host it.
square.
We're there.
You guys need directions?
Yeah.
So,
Up the hill.
real quick, I'll preview some conversations about this Remington data center. And one of the big
Oh, it's
opponents of this data center is 35 feet high. She says how much she loves Remington, how she always stops by the farmer's daughter every time she goes. She loves that little town. And the guy she was talking to had to ask her when she was last in Remington, and she paused, and before she could answer, he didn't let her catch herself. He said, that store you like to visit closed 10 years ago.
Wow.
I always think that's funny. The people putting up this fight for Remington were the ones that were fighting tooth and nail to make sure those power lines stayed down in Remington area when those came through years ago. I just thought that was just kind of interesting. Half those people couldn't name one business in Remington, and the one she could was closed. So welcome to Chester Gap. Our business closed.
Yeah.
We can take that out of the comprehensive plan.
All right, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, see you Monday.